Hey everybody, so today was definitely a Choose Hope Daily day. We had two different big episodes that kind of made the day really long. He has increased his supports, but I will say that today he did achieve coming off the Arctic Sun, so that is his one check mark for today. However, it came at the cost of us basically gaining a lot of gray hairs, and I ran 3 miles yesterday, and I'm pretty sure my heart rate was higher today than it was yesterday when I ran the 3 miles. So, this morning, woke up for rounds, went back to sleep, everything seemed fine. Then woke up with like 5 people in the room. It wasn't a staff assist, so they hadn't called for that yet, but he was trending in a bad direction. That little episode lasted like an hour, and then he really didn't settle down until about 2 hours. But the more dangerous part of it was that first hour, and essentially he reacted to them turning the Arctic Sun off and his body having to kind of kick in and pick back up on his temperature regulation. And so it was having to use some energy to do that, and he doesn't have a whole lot of reserves because he is still very sick. Again, he is critically stable, right? So he's not stable. He's critically stable. His margins are like razor thin. And so they did some blood gases on him. He was having them every hour, and they were not looking very good, so they had to increase his ventilation support and also just kind of help him get back better. And one of the ideas that they had was take him off the paralytic and allow him to help breathe some with the vent, and that would help his gases get better, which it did. And so he ended up getting better from that episode. Middle of the day, kind of settled down. So then Mallory, Steve, and I went out and got something to eat. And then we also checked in with some friends because they had an event this morning. So we checked in with them, made sure they were all right. And then while I was checking in and talking to that dad, he decided to start another episode, and that was this evening. And so from about 7 to 9, that was going on. And honestly, I guess that one was really the scarier one because he was trending, and then they had to go up on his ventilator settings even more. And then on top of that, put him back on the paralytic, and on top of that, increase his epi to 0.07 when he had been at 0.04. So using a lot of the things that over the last several days he has worked to create some margins, and basically he ate them all up. He did still have some room behind that. Like, he had some other interventions they could have used, but basically from where he was when he came off of ECMO to where he is now, he basically back up. Now, the good news is that his temperature is regulating and that he is off the Arctic Sun, and that's a win. And he has also been able to start coming down on some of the settings and the interventions that they had put on him when he had that episode. It's about midnight now because they rounded really late. It's been crazy here this weekend, like a lot of alarms. And so it is one of those things where he is now going to try and rebuild those margins. So they're going to try and step him back and allow him to kind of take back over and decrease his interventions. That's the goal. Now, the reason why both of these events were really scary is that they mirrored kind of what happened when he went into cardiac arrest on June 13th. And so both times he had some smaller tidal volumes on his vent settings. Basically, he was showing that he had some respiratory distress, which put stress on the right side of his heart, which is what led to him having his cardiac arrest. And so it was very triggering for Kathy, Mallory, and I to kind of be here, see that. Luckily, Mallory and Kathy were not here for the first one this morning. It was just me. I just kind of updated them, which has its own different set of stressors because they're not here. And then this evening, it was all of us. And so, again, it makes for a really long time having to go through that, and you're just on edge the entire time because you think, like, this is where it's going. Like, we've seen this before. And so it's tough. We are very blessed that we have a wonderful medical staff, that they do wonderful things with him. They use their interventions. They called him in time before he fell off a cliff. So that is where we are. But quite honestly, we're all exhausted. I mean, just throwing that out there. We are 4 months into this. He turned 4 months old today. So, I mean, we started off the day and I was really excited he turned 4 months old. And then it's been a long behind day. And so, you know, we're not fresh into this anymore. He's had 2 cardiac arrests. He's had a stroke. He's had 2 runs on ECMO. He's had all these things happen to him. And then just on top of that, we've basically been living in the hospital for 4 months and or juggling, moving around for 4 months. Like, I went back to work for a while when he was not as critical. And so, like, it's just been a long 4 months. However, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep choosing hope daily. We're going to look at the bright side. The bright side is today he came off of a machine, and that machine was the Arctic Sun. So that is a step forward. We will take it. if y'all would specifically pray for these 3 things. The first one is that he has no infection, or that the meropenem, which is the antibiotic that he's on, will take care of whatever infection that he has had. And so that way, if he doesn't have an infection, doesn't have a fever, then that's less stress on his body, less stress on his heart. And so it will make his recovery easier and make it where they can use fewer interventions. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that he's able to continue progressing forward and that he stays stable through the night and honestly through the upcoming week. So that way he can rebuild his margins, come off some of these other machines. That's prayer number 2. And then the last one is pray for Kathy, Mallory, and myself, as we are pretty much frayed and we're all frazzled. So hopefully just, pray for us that we'll continue having peace and strength and going forward on this. Also, on the flip side of all this, Hunter had a wonderful day with Mimi and Gigi going down to South Carolina and going to Buc-ees, going to church this morning, and just having fun, learning how to sand a wall, learning how to paint a wall, and just spending the evening with them. So I don't know if I've ever said this on here, but I know I've told some people in the unit this, like when people in the unit will walk with their children from the step down side on the ICU side, it kind of gives us a goal to look at of like, that's where we want to be. Like we want to be able to walk around with our kids. And so like Hunter still being able to be on the outside and kind of have normal life. That's the goal of where we want to be eventually. So it just gives us something to look forward to and hope for. So we're going to try and see if we can have a good night, stay stable. So y'all have a good night. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow. And Jon David, tell everybody bye-bye.